Afternoon, everyone. What's happening? Back again with another video, and we're talking transfers today. And it seems like United's choice of striker is starting to emerge, and there will be disappointment in this because we've put our eggs in the Rasmus Højlund is our number one basket. So I wouldn't expect us to be spending 70 to 100 million on another striker. I also don't think we've got 70 to 100 million to spend on another striker. So what are we going to be looking at? We're going to be looking at 30-plus-year-olds. We're going to be looking at people who have so-called failed everywhere. So sort your expectations out. This is not going to be... You're not going to turn this on and be like, holy shit, we've signed Erling Haaland. And if it was, maybe go speak to someone. So this is straight up Odion Ighalo territory. This is straight up Weghorst territory. United are definitely going to try and squeeze another low-cost loan or something else. Now, one of the first names that's jumped up is Chupo-Moting. Now, he's 34. Obviously, he's at Bayern Munich. He's made 19 appearances this season. Mostly have been as a substitute because Harry Kane, well, he's doing Harry Kane things. And there's some talk that United might be tempted to ask the question. They've also got Thomas Muller, also 34. Someone that I think would do quite well at United. He's not your out-and-out traditional striker. He's sort of plays off the front man a little bit. Recently signed a contract extension. Don't know if that's the sort of player that you're going to get in on loan, in all honesty. And typically, you don't generally get someone out of Bayern Munich unless Bayern Munich want to let them go. And then there's also, supposedly, Timo Werner. He scored twice in 8, which is not exactly like blowing anyone's mind, but then that might be why he's available on loan. He was on United's radar before he moved to Chelsea all the way back in 2020, and supposedly United are keeping an eye on him because they think he's a ready-made striker. Should we get any money from a sale, then we might decide to invest it in someone, and that would be more of a gamble, someone that's a little bit younger. And Stuttgart's Guirassy has been someone that's sort of been thought of as a player that we might be able to do that with. He's got a release clause of 15.2 million, which is cheap, but it's about 15.2 million more than United have got room for in terms of FFP. So we are going to have to sell to make that happen. He's also not young. He's also 27. He's never hit form like this in his career before, so is there an issue? He also represents Guinea and will be at the African Cup of Nations, so there's also chances that he's not... I mean, he's probably not going to go to the final of the African Cup of Nations, but he will be at the African Cup of Nations, meaning he's not going to be immediately available. And then in the middle of all of this, like, we've got the... Who the hell is making all of these decisions now anyways? And obviously, Ineos have taken charge of football operations at United, giving it some oversight, at least, in terms of the incomings and the outgoings. But the current structure is, or up until this point, at least, overseen by John Murtagh. Director of Scouting, Steve Brown, organises the database of all the different targets. That will feed the information into that process. You've got Matt Hargreaves, is the club's head of transfer negotiations. He gets to go over the numbers. So he's clearly out of a fucking job soon, I'm sure. With the selling clubs and the incoming players, and then Ten Hag is a very influential voice in that. I was going to say he has a veto, but I'm not actually sure that's the case. I think he gets to put his opinion in quite strongly, but I don't think he is the rubber stamper of everything. I think it's a collaborative effort with a few. So what's actually going to be available? Nothing, potentially. So, a bit like in January 2023, United have to be cautious and aware of the possibility of breaching FFP rules. We've got cash reserves, as per the financial accounts for the year that ended in June 23. We're also down to 76 million in that, although there's still 40 million available to spend on a revolving credit facility. Now, there's a difference between money we have as cash, like we could go and spend it on the stadium or something like that, and that's fine. But when it comes to FFP, obviously, if you bring it on your playing staff, that's when it becomes an issue. If we're able to shift off some big earners such as Jadon Sancho, then that creates a bit of a wiggle room for us to play with, because salary goes into the calculations for FFP. He hasn't played for us since August 27. You're welcome to go and August 26, sorry. You're welcome to go and calculate how much that comes to, at like 370 grand a week. Put it this way, he's all right for the rent, and he should probably get around him for everyone. And I think Inos Investment potentially will boost the club's transfer kitty, but the deal to purchase 25% of United has not been ratified by the Premier League yet, and that could take 6 to 8 weeks. So you don't necessarily see any input going into the transfer kitty this month unless it gets done. He's committed to investing $300 million out of his own money, and the first 200 million of that will be paid upon the closing of the transaction. So as soon as he's ratified as done by the Premier League, that money can go in. Whether or not it's going to be quick enough, we don't know. But yeah, let's see what you guys are saying in the old questions. Jason says, keep it up, been watching for 2 years. Hopefully someday I'll see you at Old Trafford and say hi. Yeah, do it. G Hatties TV says, definitely not Chupo. Jace Park says, afternoon, happy new year. Lord Jesus, I hope Jim can get it right. Love you loads, mate. Thank you very much, brother. You are my favourite piece of talking clothing. Ant says, Steve, do we create enough for another striker to make a great deal of a difference? It's a good point. Probably not, really. I think we've still got to get the midfield right and that. I don't know if I explained this on a video yesterday. I can't remember if I did, but either way, I'll repeat it just for anyone's benefit who didn't see that. The defence starts from the front and attacking starts from the back. If your players can't move the ball effectively through the thirds, you're not going to create chances. If we have to move Bruno further back to help out with defence, then he's not going to be as effective with the ball. If you have to leave one more fullback back because you don't trust what you've got in defence, then that means you're less potent when you go forward. It's all interconnected. It's not just on the strikers to score the goals and create the chances. The midfield and the attack and the defence, all interlinked. Mazzacronal says it will be Timo Werner, Steve. I'm not mad at Timo Werner. I know he didn't work at Chelsea, but I'm not mad at Timo Werner, to be honest. Notch says, we'll get in the midfield right, help Anthony create more. No, I think Anthony needs it in his own mind. I think he needs to... I don't fucking know. Maybe if he had a more overlapping fullback, he would link up well with someone that's a bit more like a Frimpong, would be like a lot more dangerous. So you would leave Anthony in a bit more space. When it's Wan-Bissaka, they don't really respect him enough to be worried about him, I don't think. James says, I bring in Solanke, Palhinha and Estupian from the Prem. The problem with shopping in the Prem is that's probably going to cost you 200 million. Where's the academy kid with 600 goals for City? He's on loan at the moment. I think he's on loan. He's not sold, has he? He's on loan. He's out on loan at the moment. AJ Wright says, will you guys ever do a Belfast show instead of Dublin sometime? The plan of the shows isn't down to me. But yeah, I'd love to. James says, Anthony needs an overlapping fullback. Colin says, Bruno needs to play high to get the best out of him, almost like a second striker. We need an 8 with a 6 behind him to give him more freedom. Yep. Kieran says, biggest issue United have is offloading players. We've never been able to do it. I think it's partially because United offer them fat wages. And then, we did speak about this yesterday. When all you've got to offer is big money, you haven't got anything else to entice them with. We saw this a lot with City. A lot of City's early signings were horrendous and they came on massive money, but they were able to move them on easily. They were able to move them on easily because they didn't mind cutting their losses with them, and because they had this unlimited money pit almost. United can't operate like that, and it's very hard to get people to move away from United once they're here. City found it a little bit easier than we did in that sense. Lollipop says, Anthony needs to learn about his right foot. It really does. Cyan says, also against the low block, Anthony's not as effective because defenders block his path when he cuts inside, blocking his shot. Teams with higher line give him more space, hence his shot. Yeah, but I mean, he shoots from shit positions still, and they just fucking fly over the bar. Daniel Berry says, we have enough players to cover playing in the league and FA Cup. Yeah, we probably do. We probably do. Buju says 27 is not that old for a good striker, and for 15 mil, why would you consider Timo when there's Guirassy? Well, we don't have 15 mil for starters. We have to sell someone before we have that 15 mil. So it might be easier to just have someone that you know the level of, even if it's like not a great level, because then we can send him back if it doesn't work. You've not spent that money. Josh says, do I think G-Nev could do a job at United? He's not going to do a job at United, though, is he? Because he's the owner of a football club in the Football League. AJ Wright says, is Sir Jim serious about bringing Mason back? I haven't seen, and my feelings on this hasn't changed in the slightest. You know, lack of a conviction doesn't mean lack of guilt, in my opinion. You know, I don't think... Here's the thing. We all heard it. We all heard it, and that's what does make it different. And for everyone going, well, it's the same as this case and this case and this case, it's not. It's not, because we haven't heard anything from those. And I'll put it to you like this, right? I've been married for 8 years, and I've been with my missus for 17, nearly 18 years, right? If she accused me of sexually assaulting her, I would not be with her anymore. Because if I did it, well, if I did it, I should be in jail. But if I did it, that's the only circumstance I can find myself thinking that, well, I'll stick with her and cover this up. If I didn't do it, I'm not going to be there. So I think the actions demonstrate guilt, in my opinion. And I don't want that at United. And people can say, oh, well, look at what he's doing. Is Barcelona are going to sign him? I don't care. I don't care. I'd rather United stand for as much good as possible in the world. You know, I would rather we were the beacon for fan ownership. I would rather we do right by everyone at all times. I don't want to be just another club. This is my fucking club, and I want it to be seen as the best of everything. I don't want it to be a dirty, shameful, cheating club that'll have anyone play for them. I don't. Lollipop says, I'd happily take Greenwood back. He was proven innocent. I understand your point. No, he wasn't proven innocent. The case was dropped. That's not proven innocent. Mulvaney says, it's complicated because she stated quickly that she didn't leak it. It's an impossible situation. She did, but fucking did she though? Like, has your phone ever been hacked? Because mine's not. Ever. I don't know anyone who has. Hacked and then posted some very specific shit, which is videos of me in very compromising situations, and post them to my social media. Use your fucking brains, honestly. Danny says, Macca had the best point about Greenwood, said there'd always be a gutting feeling whenever he did something good in a United shirt. Hurt seeing games under Ollie when we played well. I don't know how they're correlated, but okay. Adam says, oh, the rich footballer had his case dropped, wonder why. Yep. That's my, whatever. Dave says, well, she's with him though, so what's your point? Please go and do some research on this and see how many times abuse victims stick around with their partner for years and years and years before they eventually leave them. And that's fine. I'm not saying he never has to have another job ever again. I just don't want him at my club. How about that? Juso says, at Young, we all make mistakes. I'm going to be honest, I never raped anyone. I've made loads of mistakes. I've never done that. How about that? And I imagine everybody watching here's never done that. If you're a rapist, put your fucking hand up in the chat. How about that? Fuck me. Yeah, we do all make mistakes. I've got speeding tickets, I've got parking tickets, I've done all sorts of fucking madness like that. Never raped anyone. Call me old-fashioned. Mulvaney says, I just want a decision to be made. Sick of the talk. We need to move on for good. Can I show my studio? Yeah, there'll be a video on my new studio on the IRL channel because we've just done quite a load of upgrades to it. Amaya says, Rooney is out of a job at the minute. We need a striker. Could he do a job? Probably not, I imagine. Benzema is free. Now, I saw a few things about Benzema, but I don't think he's been released, has he? Forgive me because I've not looked into that a lot. So you guys are going to fill me in here. Like, I think he'd gone home or something, but it seemed to me like he'd gone home for a little bit and gone, but that didn't say his contract was over. I think. I could be wrong here. Curtis Williams says, I'm jumping to conclusions here. I'm really fucking not. I am really not. Raymundo says, do I think that Ten Hag should get the same amount of time Fergie got, or does the Champions League qualification change things? I think modern football has changed. I would love to see the sacking frequency of managers because the level of success, this is probably a good exercise that someone could do that's not me because this is going to be fucking hard work to do. The level of success in football has not changed. There's only the same amount of trophies up for grabs. There's a little bit more qualification of those trophies, things like Europa Conference, Europa League, Champions League. The qualification of those has become an achievement. It's not a trophy, obviously, but it is an achievement. And it is a target that some clubs will definitely put on their managers. We need to, like, just in the same way that staying up is an achievement for some clubs, hitting that is a minimum sort of expectation for others. So I wonder if you went back, just say post-war, because football was a totally different landscape, 90 years ago. I say if you said post-war, what's the sacking frequency of managers and how has it changed? So if you looked at what was the average length of time a manager got, I bet it's a quarter of the time that they got in the 60s and 70s. They still did get sacked. People still rotated through managers, but they did generally tend to get a couple of years. Rooney's gone in, is it 19 games, 16 games, 15 games? Something fucking mental like that. It's not a lot of games, is my point. That's not enough. Now, maybe that's for the best because, I can't remember the guy's name that they got rid of, but like they were fucking playoffs and Rooney was like, let me just see if I can get you into League One. He's done a horrendous job. Is 15 games enough? I think when he comes into a team that was doing well and now is it 2 or 3 wins in all of his time? That's fucking bad. That's really bad. That might be enough to go, nah, you ain't fucking doing it. Managers are sacked really fucking fast, but in this instance, maybe not. Who was it that lasted 4 games? Was it De Boer? Did he last 4 games? That's mental. But then maybe it was the right decision. Who knows? Scorcher says, or Sorcher, sorry, says, thanks for talking about Greenwood. As a woman who's followed United since 2003, this whole situation has made me really question if I could support United. I don't want Mason at United. I don't think your view is unique, to be honest with you. I think there's a lot of people thinking that. Tom with a super chat there says, Steve, with transfer fees being so high these days, why don't clubs spend that money on the youth department to develop players? Would it work? I think it would. I think Athletic Bilbao, we did a video the other day about Nico Williams. Athletic Bilbao have to make it work. They can only have players that have been born or raised in the Basque region, which covers northern Spain and I don't know if it goes into Andorra as well, actually. But obviously a little bit of sort of like northwest-ish France. Or southwest-ish France, not sure. Wherever it fucking connects to Spain anyway. whatever that fucking corner is next to Spain, the Basque region of France. So they have to have players that have been born and raised in that area. Now, the fact that they're able to do so, that's one of the most successful youth programs in world football, because they have to make it work. So I think that they're a bit more patient and they're a little bit more forgiving, and they work harder on the development, whereas I think every other club, because they can afford to just shop the entire world, puts a little bit more in Hollywood kid. And I think that there's something in the way Athletic Bilbao are doing it, which shows everyone, if you identify the right stuff, and for United, for example, the East Manchester Junior Football League is a fucking great league. It's so deep. There's so much talent. The kids are playing so many games. There is potential England footballers playing in that league this weekend coming. I guarantee it. There might be 7, there might be 8, there might be 11, there might be 12, whatever it is. They are potential international footballers playing on them pitches this weekend. There's a disconnect between that potential and that development being realised, because it's too hard to break into the United first team, too hard to break into the City first team. So where are they going to break in? Colin says, so is the January Mason transfer effectively funding our January spend? It might do. It might do. If he moves in January, he's obviously got to decide to move. I think it was a season-long loan, so unless he moves. John says people call Inaki Nico. Do they? There's two. There's two brothers, Inaki and Nico. Alex says Bilbao signed player that are raised, not really born, because they had Amor Bieta, who was born in Venezuela, raised in Pamplona, but they're a great club. Yeah, it's born or raised. If you do, it's a bit like the homegrown status of, I think Paul Pogba had homegrown status because he did X number of years here. They sort of treat it as the same thing. If you've come through the ranks at Bilbao, it doesn't matter where you were born. But yeah, you're either born there or you play there. Ant says, pragmatism has become confusion. Ten Hag has compromised his own safety and vision too much. Now we don't know what we're doing game to game. I think there's a lot of that, yeah. A lot of that. Daniel Berra says, oh my God, Herrera was average as fuck. He just fucking wasn't, was he? Why are we rewriting history? Ander Herrera was not average as fuck. Was he world class? No, but he was a very, very, very good footballer. Very good footballer. Prashant says, Eddie Howe lost 8-9 matches in all competitions. Do I think he'll be sacked or does he deserve the sack? No, I don't think people... Look, maybe Rooney was the right answer, but I don't think people should be getting sacked with the frequency that they are. I think there should be a lot more time to fix things. Lee Townsend says, Steve, take a look at Real Sociedad's team. They're full of youth academy players and are punching above their weight in La Liga and the Champions League. Yeah, same region. Same region. So basically, Bilbao, Sociedad will play players of anywhere, but they are in the Basque region. Sometimes, didn't Ander Herrera come through Sociedad? Could be wrong on that first. But yeah, they will. Bilbao will take players that have come through Sociedad's academy as well. Mulvaney says, I haven't seen a player be able to execute tactics the way Herrera did since Park. I would agree on that. Herrera was a bit of a shithousery about him. Loved him. Yeah, I loved it. I love that. Ander Herrera was so well-rounded. Yep. Ant says Ander Herrera was a Dennis Irwin. Regular 7 out of 10. Colin says we got rid of Herrera for free and 12 months later he's playing an actual Champions League final. We fucked him about. He'd have signed a contract if we'd have put it in front of him. PSG put a 4 or 5 year, I think it might have been 5, in front of, what was he at the time, 30? Something like that. Fuck me. 200 grand a week. He's just secured his family's future because he wasn't nowhere near that at United. Like, United would have offered him a 1 or 2 year deal maybe, and it would have been at least half that. David Mannerheim there with a super chat says, Happy New Year, Steve. Grab a protein bar on me. Cheers, brother. Talk to us about how Mount will fit in on his return, knowing what we've seen with Mainu and Casemiro. Fucking, the way the season's gone, I mean, we did a video on how Mount would fit in. I think he still could fit in that sort of style. He is a lot more of an energetic version of Ericsson, but is Kobe Mainoo capable of playing in the 6 on his own, because he will get left by Bruno and Mount. It's a very attacking formation. You might have to resist your fullbacks a little bit to protect the back four. We will see. Yeah, we will see. PSG put on a 5-year deal in 2019. Fucking mental. Absolutely mental. Irwin's my shout for the most underrated player in United history. I mean, I think Irwin's rated quite rightly now. Everyone knows how good Dennis Irwin was. I still think it's Michael Carrick, to be honest. Like, I did that video the other day, didn't I, for Devils, and sometimes I'm trying to fucking bait Liverpool fans into it, but the reality is, I genuinely would choose Michael Carrick over Steven Gerrard. I think Gerrard had a more game-changing ability about him, but I think there's more trust in Michael Carrick. I could trust Michael Carrick to play a specific role tactically in a team and keep hold of the ball and hold possession. There's no coincidence. At the time that there was Lampard, Gerrard and Scholes, all at their peak, there was an English midfield was the champions of Europe. There was also other English players in that team, Wes Brown, Rio Ferdinand, Wayne Rooney. And yet, at the time, you had 6 English players as European champions, and there was 3, Cole, Lampard, Terry, at least 3 others were in the Chelsea squad. So there was minimum 9 English players in a Champions League final. England didn't qualify for the European Championships that summer. So when I say I would select Carrick over Gerrard, these are your reasons. Someone had 9 Champions League finalists at their selection, plus Gerrard, plus whoever the fuck else you want. There was no goalkeeper, obviously, was there? So fucking throw anyone you want in there. Who was a goalkeeper in 2008? Was it Paul Robinson? I don't even know. Whatever. You've basically got an England starting 11 with the finalists of the 2008 Champions League final plus Gerrard, right? But you've got an entirely English midfield of a team that dominated the ball, that won the Premier League and the Champions League, beating some serious football teams on the way. Carrick, Hargreaves, Scholes. So when you want to go, well, who was the best out of all of those? Well, Paul Scholes was the one that won all of that stuff, and he had 2 other English players alongside him. Now, if England had trusted what was going on at United, who could they have played up front at that time? You'd probably throw Joe Cole on. I don't know if he was at Chelsea at the time, actually. There might have even been 4 fucking Chelsea players in the mixer. Paul Robinson. Yeah. King Dino says Gerrard should have been super sub for the Royal Rovers moments. I wouldn't be against that. But he's got the fucking positional discipline of a fucking paper bag in the wind. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not taking the piss. Now, you can disagree with me all you want. Football's about opinions. That's why we have fucking channels talking about it, right? Because it's all about opinions. The trust I have in Michael Carrick to hold that position. Carrick, Hargreaves and Scholes was such an underrated midfield three. You had Scholes as the conductor. You got a little bit of legs there out of Owen Hargreaves, because he didn't really have like a combative sort of engine in Michael Carrick. But you had Michael Carrick. Michael Carrick's going to come on. He's going to give you 115 passes. And there's going to be a lot of them are going to be sideways. A lot of them is going to be keeping hold of the ball, right? Something that wasn't really appreciated anywhere near as much as it should have been back in 2007, 2008. But also, he's going to take it and he's going to put it right on Rooney's back foot. So Rooney's got to take a touch out of his feet and fucking ping one. You know, and that was something that you didn't get with Gerrard and you didn't get with Lampard because they played 25 metres further up the pitch. Gerrard wanted to dribble with it too much. And Lampard would spread the play quite nice and he would arrive late in the box as a second striker, which is why he got so many goals. Like, they were totally different players. With Scholes and Carrick, you keep the ball. And then when you lose it, Owen Hargreaves gets it back. It's a fucking great midfield free. I could watch it all day long. One of my favourite midfield frees. You know, and no England manager ever fucking played it. They were champions of England, champions of Europe, champions of the world. And England didn't qualify for the fucking Euros in 2008 when they had 9 Champions League finalists that they could select. You tell me that that's not horrendous management. NT says Carrick was instrumental to everything, and everything we won in the 2000s, absolute class. Compost says you don't pick names, you pick the best combination, especially in midfield. That's what I was trying to say. Correct. Yeah. Keno says he lacked the discipline big time. Gerrard looked good when Xabi Alonso was there doing the important work. Yeah, go and watch, if you can fucking get yourself through it. Go and watch the 2005 Champions League final, because I don't just chat shit. I mean, sometimes I chat shit, but I do it with a bit of fucking knowledge. Go and watch Gerrard's performance in that final. Go and watch the goals. Go and watch where Gerrard's positioning is for those goals. Go watch what happens once they bring, I think they bring Didier Man on, and I think it's Haman and Alonso, which is a good midfield pair, right? And watch what happens then, and why Liverpool get back in that game. Colin says, I trust Carrick to wake me up just before my alarm. Do I know anyone who sells games off season tickets? No. Brian says Carrick was class. Apner says Xabi Alonso was clearly their best midfielder. Yeah, I mean, I listed all the players that I thought were better than Gerrard. I don't think there was a single controversial one in that. Steady Vegas says, I remember when you said you thought Qatar was a better holiday destination than Vegas. Could I elaborate on that a little bit more? It's funny because I was talking about this with my brother-in-law yesterday, and my dad. We was talking about Las Vegas. We were talking about America in general. And we were speaking on Las Vegas in particular. And he said he didn't like it. My dad liked it. My dad liked Las Vegas when he went, but he went 20 years ago. My dad went and played poker, actually, and for a laugh, and he ended up getting onto the table. I think he got to the final of Poker Million like 20 years ago. I think he won enough to pay for his holiday, so a couple of grand, but didn't obviously win the million. I think it was like $50 entry, and he got through like 2 or 3 tables and then found him in the final. But I think he was the first out in the final, one of the Poker Million things in Las Vegas. So he enjoyed it. He had a good time. He liked Vegas. I went for my honeymoon in 2015, and then I went again with the lads in the summer. And I fucking hate Las Vegas. I landed in Las Vegas. I mean, I had just drove for fucking 8 hours and got in loads of traffic with Ronaldo. So by the time we got to Vegas, I was fucking over it anyway. Couldn't return my hire car, and I was just like, I fucking hate this place. The problem with Vegas is it's America in a nutshell, right? The best parts of America are when it's authentic, because there is real in America. There's not a lot of history compared to, like, you know, some places in England or even Europe. But America's at its best when it's real and it's authentic. Like, going to the ball game, on the outside, on the surface, it's fucking boring. But I get it. I understand. It's a hangout. It's not about necessarily watching the sport. This is a sideshow to catching up with everyone. It's going out, and it's like going to a bar or something and having something on the side. It's that. It's not. It's like live entertainment inside a bar, like a singer. It's not like football where you go and you pay attention to it for 45 minutes, then it's halftime, and then you pay attention to it. There's just a constant transient of people, but it's authentic. And I went to a tailgate in 2015, and I liked it. It was great because it was authentic American culture, and it was different and new to me, and I enjoyed that. I like San Diego because San Diego feels very authentic. It's got a vibe and an energy about it. It reminds me, I like Cornwall, and San Diego's got a very Cornwall kind of vibe about the place. Las Vegas is fucking sad, man. I think the people who enjoy going out in Vegas have never been out in their fucking life, or never been out somewhere good in their life. I was at the MGM Grand, which is supposedly a decent hotel. But it's like, for me, you scratch beneath the surface of anything in Las Vegas, and it's fucking disgusting. It's just fucking disgusting. Like, you go watch people playing the slots. I mean, anybody having a good time playing the slots. That is depression. Everyone looks sad playing the slots. It does not look like a good time. Everything's miles away. There's so much fucking traffic. It's insane. I do not like Vegas, man. I think there's some beautiful parts of America and beautiful people in America. Las Vegas is not one of them. I'd love to go to the south. I'd love to I'd love to check out Montana, go camping and hiking in Montana. I'd love to go and check out authentic, rodeo and food in the south in Texas. I'd love to do that because that's real America to me. But this fake, like, there was parts of New York felt very familiar, and that was cool. But yeah, Las Vegas is just horrible, man. Horrible. It's a fucking horrendous place. So why was Qatar better? Weirdly, Qatar's got that same vibe about it. Like, we was walking around the souk, the ancient souk, and I was walking around it going, is this old or is this Alton Towers old? You know where they paint the white paint with like a bit of mud, so it's like got a brown tinge to it. And then I googled it, and the ancient mosque, I'm gonna get this wrong, but I'm in the ballpark, was built in like 2005. And you're like, right, all right. I don't know. There was more, even though like Qatar and Doha is a brand new city, it felt, I don't know, there was a seediness to Vegas that I didn't like. And there isn't a seediness to Doha. It feels a little bit more family friendly. Do you know what I mean? And there's a real beach, which helps. Jay Chai says, excellent observation about US. Vegas is awful. Mushik says, I want to go south of America. Said no black man ever. There's a lot of fucking black people live in the south of America. I'm sure there's horrendously racist towns. I'm certain of it. But, there's a lot of black people in America. So I don't think that it's necessarily you can just say the entire South. No, I'm not having that. Yeah, Qatar's a new state, says Daniel. Bushik says the souk is the idea. AJ Wright says we need Steve in Texas for the IRL channel. You will get it. Marcus says, Dynasty, you hit the nail on the head with the Vegas take. You basically go there for debauchery. If you're not into that, you ain't going to enjoy it. Yeah. I mean, even like we went out, but I just didn't have a good time. It just wasn't, I don't know. I just didn't have a good time there. And I didn't, like, I had a great night out in San Diego. We had a great night out in New York. I was going out on the piss. But Las Vegas just felt, and in Vegas, there was like loads of people from back home as well. It should have been a fucking great time. But I was just sitting there fucking hating the gaff. Alex says you'd love Texas and New Orleans. Told you and Janine this. Yeah, New Orleans is on the list as well, I think. Connor says, miss your super chat. Let me just scroll up, see if I can find it. I really have missed it, haven't I? Where the fuck is that? There it is. Love the channel. Keep up the good work. Obviously purely hypothetical, but would I go for Simeon if Ten Hag loses his job? No. Simeone's on 34 million a year. That's like 700 or 800 grand a week. I think he's the highest paid manager in the world behind Pep and whatever. I don't know. There might be 115 reasons why that might not be accurate, but that's a lot of money for a coach. No, I don't think you're going to get him. Have I been to Windhoek, Namibia? No. I mean, see, I think people in the West perception of Africa is completely fucking wrong as well. My missus has been to South Africa. She's got family in South Africa. I've been to Morocco, but I've not really been to any of the, like, what I would call like real Africa. Namibia, Uganda, Kenya, Ethiopia. Like, there's some seriously historical and genuinely authentic shit going on there that I would love to check out. And then I'd love to check out some of the real vibrant shit on the west coast of Africa, Nigeria and Cameroon and Senegal and places like that, because it looks fucking amazing. Like, I want to go and check out all of those things. And I'd love to go and check football out in those places too, because I can imagine it's off the fucking hook. Like, I really want to go and check that out. Staley Vegas says, nice one, Steve. Agreed. Love San Diego. Found Vegas a bit plastic. Not like Staley Vegas. Just got back from Dominican Republic. I'm not even sure where Dominican Republic is. Is it Caribbean? IR says, last I checked, Simeone earned more than the second and third highest paid gaffers in the world combined. That's Pep and Klopp. Well, that's if you take what City are paying at face value. And I don't. Cantry says, bring your ass to Atlanta for the best southern cooking and a lot of diversity. Whitterbird says, South Carolina, some beautiful farming gardens. What did I do for a living before YouTube apart from the army? So from the army until I left the army, obviously I was in the army. From leaving the army, I worked as a TV installer, installing home cinema for about 12 months, and then the company went bankrupt. And from that, I went and became a scaffolder, did that for a year, and then I moved into the office in the scaffolding company where I was a quantity surveyor. I went to Salford Uni doing quantity surveying. By the way, fuck me, that's boring. Did that for like 5 years, and then YouTube, pretty much. Come to the Bay Area, San Francisco. Yeah, I've been to San Francisco. I like San Francisco. San Francisco's got a decent energy about it as well. Mad homeless problem in San Francisco, more than I've ever seen anywhere else. And I don't. We were talking about this yesterday as well. I think it's because it's like a bit of a temperate sort of temperature. Like it's quite in the middle. Doesn't get too hot, doesn't get too cold. Whereas, like, you see some homeless people in Vegas, and you're like, fucking hell, this guy's gonna die today. It's so fucking hot. This guy just looks the most dehydrated human I've ever seen in my life. Like, it's dangerous when it gets. It's, you know, the cold will kill as much as the heat will kill. Like, so I think that's probably why there's so many in San Francisco, because it's like survivable. Colin says, my friend was in Morocco last year and she was saying that the people were looking at her and couldn't believe the way she was dressing compared to local women. Well, what was she dressing like? Luke says, Africa's a huge place with many different cultures. Lazy to lump it all together. We know how different Europe is. I mean, yeah, well, I didn't lump it all together. I mean, I don't think I lumped it all together. I was trying to explain, you know, the difference that I can see, at least in East Africa and West Africa. And obviously you've got all of the different nations from Egypt and Algeria, from Morocco and that across the top. And then, you know, fuck me, the Congo's like the size of Europe, innit? Fucking mad gaff. Lee says, serious question. Moving to YouTube full-time from employment was a risk. Did I suffer financially? Never been brave enough to attempt it. Yeah, it was a risk. I said no to the job 3 times before I eventually took it. Because of it felt like a massive risk going from a job in construction to YouTube. I mean, in 2024, it probably wouldn't feel as much of a risk because YouTube is an established career for a lot of people. But at the time, in 2015, that wasn't the case. And I actually quit my job and went full-time on YouTube in between my wedding and honeymoon. So we did a lot. In 2015, we did a fucking lot. And, you know, this was really fucking hard to do. Hard to do without debt. So in 2015, we got married, had no debt on the wedding, which I think is really important. I see a lot of people. I saw a girl I went to college with the other day, and her wedding must have been fucking 6 figures, honestly. And she's divorced 18 months later. I think it's mental spending so much money. Weddings are extortionately expensive, but we managed to get through our wedding with no debt. I was very happy with that, and you know we got gifted and saved up enough for a honeymoon. We went to America. We got a Camaro, drove around. It was fucking amazing. It was the best holiday I've ever had. And that was in the August. And then in the November, same year, we bought our first house. So I don't think fucking financially I've even recovered now from just how successful that single year was. And in the middle of that, you know, transitioning from being a quantity surveyor to working on YouTube for, you know, it's a bang average wage. It's not fucking, you know, it's not millionaire money. It's just literally just a very, very normal wage. How did I handle the hate comments at the beginning? Yeah, Joe, I saw Bill Burr talk about this, and he said every comment is like a shot of water in a submarine. He goes, and eventually you learn to just fucking live with it, but you take on water. Mushfik says, as a civil engineer that wants to shift and focus on football analytics and sports science, now I love and admire you even more. just you got to graft on in your spare time, innit? That's what you got to do, and then move over into what you do. I panic for a lot of people. I mean, we bought our house late. I was in my 30s, man. I was 31, 32 when we bought our first house, which felt late, felt like a failure to be buying a house in my 30s and not in my 20s. It felt like a failure. Now I understand it's not a failure to do that, but I can't help my emotions, and that it felt like a failure to be doing it so late in life. But now when you look back at that and you see I mean, my house price has more than doubled. We probably couldn't have afforded to buy this place now if we were trying to buy it now, which is fucking mental, isn't it? Because the house prices are insane. I have a 17-year-old son, and I have a daughter who's 5 in a couple of weeks, and I think, how the fuck are they going to own property? How are they going to afford the rents if they have to rent for a number of years? It's, I feel for a lot of young people at the moment, like everybody that I work with, all the stuff we have in the studio, I go, how the fuck are these guys gonna move out of their parents' gaff, find their own place, and this, that, and the other, because it's fucking hard out there. Matt says, I've been trying to get into football writing alongside my 9 to 5 with volunteer work, but it's difficult to get into. It's difficult because you got so much, same with YouTube and presenting and all that lot. It's tough because everybody is willing to do what you will do for free, and people will find good experience. Like we do internship programs, and fucking hell, I couldn't have imagined how successful they've been for people. People have left our place and gone on to Manchester United, Sky Sports, The Overlap, BT Sport, like BBC Sport. BBC Sport basically feel like they do 60% of their recruitment in my fucking office. Like the conveyor belt that we've had of people moving through has been incredible. We're in a weird industry. Like, it wouldn't work in any, like, you couldn't do construction as an intern and then get a job bricklaying or something. It doesn't really work like that. But in the media industry is like when people kind of work off their portfolio in a way and their experience, fucking hell is it powerful. And I think coaching, like, obviously we've had coaches come through Paddock and had a similar thing. We had our goalkeeper coach, is now Norwich City's academy goalkeeper coach. That's fucking awesome. I think it's one of those that you have to kind of, hustle and graft on it for a bit. Just one of those, isn't it? Ridwan says, our house was bought for 10 grand in the 80s. It was damaged and fixed up free by the council. I weren't born then, but what my mum told me, now it's obviously worth so much more. Probably 20, 30 times more, man. Cantry says, if you started YouTube pre-2014, you're ahead of the wave that is now where everyone wants to do, so it's harder to grow. Yeah, it is. It's possible, but I think it's... you could start today. You could start today and be successful. Everyone always thinks, I got into it too late. But you didn't, man. You didn't. You can start whenever and still find a success with it. Where are recommending Cornwall for a weekend stay? I like Newquay. But actually, I don't really go to Newquay that much. So I would call it Newquay. Actually, it's Holywell Bay. But no one knows Holywell Bay. But I usually stay Holywell Bay or Perranporth, somewhere around there. What advice would I give to my younger self starting out on YouTube? So I uploaded a YouTube video back in 2006 or 2007. And that was literally just to share a video with someone else. I didn't imagine anybody else would be watching it because that wasn't something I thought of in 2006 or 2007. I had a mate of mine in 2010 who would upload like UFC pics and stuff like that. But I don't think he had advertising on it or anything like that, so he wasn't getting any revenue from it. But I remember there was just so few options of what to watch on YouTube. He was uploading UFC pics. He was getting like 50, 60,000 views. Like, I'd be happy with that on any video that I do at the moment. And I'm, years and years deep on what I'd call a pretty successful channel. But he was doing that just out the gate. If he'd have kept that up, like, he might have been fucking huge in the game at the moment. Mad. Ant says, housing is a killer in the UK now. Over £2,000 a month mortgage. Better investing abroad, frankly. Problem is, people still want to live in the UK. And people are still going to grow up and have kids. And those kids want to stick around in the UK and be around their family. Like, and here's the problem. I don't think it's going to get better. I don't think the arse is going to fall out of the market where it'll ever return to 2 to 2.5 times your salary for a house price. It's going to remain in the 10 to 12 or more sort of region. In which case, like, how do people buy houses? And then you've got the amount of people that are getting their arse handed to them by landlords at the same time as well. It's insane. Witterbird says, I grew up in Cornwall. Depends what you want to do. North Cornwall for culture, beaches, fishing towns, and the moors. Rent is more than mortgage where I live. Rent is more than mortgage everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. Super chat there from T Hawk says, Happy New Year. If Ten Hag gets sacked, I'd want Ollie back. A disrespectful man. The Glazers destroyed his plans. He was building a team. Ronaldo, wrong time, and the team fell apart. Yeah, I agree with a lot of that. Do I like Andrew Tate? Not really. I think a lot of you're seeing Joey Barton do this at the moment. It's what Tommy Robinson does. It's what Andrew Tate does. Is that they will speak exclusively on one subject, and the problem is there's usually an element of truth in what they say, but then they extrapolate it into mad fucking weird areas where some of the things that they end up saying are wrong, they're stereotypes, they're myths, but there's a traction in the controversy in the way that they say that sort of stuff, and I can't get behind someone with that sort of mindset and thinking. It doesn't compute to me. No, I think he's obviously he appeals to a certain thingy, but nah, he's not for me. It just reeks of smelling his own farts. I'm not about that. Amaya says, Steve, creative department in any internships. 1 second. I need to just get this. Pause while I just take this call. And I'm back. Cheers everyone for waiting, everyone. Hello, I have won 1,000 Ugandan dollars. Yeah, buzzing. So I've we have got a video coming out on the IRL channel where I rate and review 3 potential IRL vehicles. And that call was in relation to one of those vehicles. So, yeah, no, it isn't transfer news, it isn't a job offer, but it was a call I had to take. So, so check the IRL channel out for that. We might be recording the last segment of the first video tomorrow, and then there will be another video following up on that quite quickly. So as you can kind of see, the IRL channel is going to do some seriously diverse shit. I've got like 20 goals to hit. Should I read them? Should I read them? I'll read you my 20 goals for 2024. I did have them in order. Where have they gone? They were in order. I don't know why they're not in order anymore. Okay, these aren't in order, unfortunately. But these are the things that I'm hoping to do, and we will be filming this as well. So a lot of these are fitness based. There will be some vehicle based stuff. We're going to be doing a lot of camping, a lot of hiking, and all that sort of stuff on the IRL channel. I'm booked on a winter skills course where I get to use ice axes and crampons. So that's going to be fun. That's on the 3rd of February that I'm doing that course. And then from there, there's all sorts of other courses and stuff that I'm trying to do. So I've got Tough Mudder. That is the 20th of October. So I'm going to do a Tough Mudder and film that. I'm going to do Paris 10, which is the 28th of September. I'm still trying to do my rehab. So I haven't done an unbroken 5K run. So a 5K run and a 10K run are both on the cards where I can run those without having to stop or fucking get a new calf. I want to do Penny Fan. That one's going to be quite soon, probably February, that I try and do the fan dance, the one that's on SAS Selection, which is you start at the Story Arms, you go over the top of Penny Fan, drop down to the train station, back up the top of the fan, and finish at the back of the Story Arms again. I want to do the National Free Peaks, which is Ben Nevis, Scaffold Pike, and Snowdon within 24 hours. I think that'll be a good little challenge. I'm going to do the Yorkshire Three Peaks, which is Penny Ghent, Vernside, and Ingleborough. That takes about 12 hours. That's actually harder than the National Free Peaks because the National Free Peaks, you have the rest in the vehicle as you're driving. Yorkshire Free Peaks is one sitting. I'd like to try and do a triathlon before the end of the year. I am getting back into jiu-jitsu. I've got a target amount of weight loss that I need to learn. And then I'm doing some courses. So Wilderness First Responder is a course that I want to do. Mountain Leader, the Winter Skills course. There's a Wilderness Cooking course. I'd like to try and compete at the tactical games. And then some other bits and bobs as well, including Survival Instructor. So those are the sorts of things that I am trying to do with the new channel. Play Team says, imagine this bloke was an actual UK soldier. Well, I was, so what's that got to do with anything, you absolute sausage? Happy New Year, says MPX10. Lollipop says, I've been watching mountain climbing documentaries. K2 is a monster. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to fuck with any other ones that require oxygen. I might get, the giddiest I might get is Mont Blanc, which I think is 4,000, I think. I'm not going to bother with any of the 8,000 ones, though. Jockey says the last video on service dogs was mint. Yeah, I didn't think it would be a one that does loads of views, but it's one that I really enjoyed making, and it's something that I really enjoy. So it's happy days. MK says, do you ever wonder about being cancelled? Something I said or did years ago. No, I mean, I say some quite blunt shit that I have to apologise from now and then, but no, I don't think so. Did I guard Greg's from the Germans? No, from your fucking bird, mate. Ben says, packed footy in the summer and started jiu-jitsu, booked the Amsterdam Marathon for October. Well played. Notch says Mont Blanc is 4,800. Yeah, that's a big fella. Am I applying for a new series of Gladiators? No, just this is the sort of shit that I like to do. And I just think the IRL channel is an excuse to go do it. Like, I'm busy with making content. I'm busy with the football team. Doing all this outdoor shit, it's a way that I can spend time with my wife because she likes doing this stuff as well. What day are we on? Tomorrow we're doing a rope course so we can belay with each other. So we're both doing it. Blake has just started rock climbing. So, one of the things that we're trying to do as a family is when Blake goes rock climbing, once we've got our certification that we can do the ropes safely and that ourselves, then we can just leave it with an instructor, and then me and Janine can go fuck about and climb rocks. And it's an indoor place. Like, this is what I enjoy doing the most. It's something that I haven't done for ages, and it is something that I wanted to get back in the mix with. Colin says, am I going to do a BJJ comp? Probably not, to be honest. Probably not. I just want to get back in the mix with it because I've been out of the game with it for so long, and I think it's something that I need to fucking be doing with it. Can I get Rio climbing with it? I don't know if his back can handle it, to be honest. Pavel says, don't try, do. Well, yeah, there's that. Would I do a charity boxing match against any other YouTubers? Not really. I have spoken about this before. Like, Prime MMA spoke to me, and I asked for a fucking eye-watering amount of cash. And they said no. Ultimately, it was a good thing because they didn't end up paying everyone. And for me to put my life on hold, because I would have stopped everything. I'd have just gone and trained with Brendan and Mokiev. I'd have trained like a pro for it for 3-4 months. I'd have stopped my entire life and I just trained like that for it. But to do that, obviously, I need to cover all my expenses. So I put in a fucking right load of cash, and they said no. So I said, all right, fucking on, I'm not doing it. So would I do it? Probably not, to be honest. I don't necessarily see the benefit for it. I don't think so. And I would only want to do it with someone I respect, because I wouldn't want to do it with someone that I don't like, because I just don't want to fucking work with people I don't like. I don't need that negative energy in my life. I like just being me and doing me. You know what I mean? I don't need that negativity. What's the other channel called? Howson IRL. What belt am I aiming to get to in BJJ? I'm not. See, when I've done grappling and MMA, I didn't train in a gi. So I've never done anything in a gi. I've done maybe 3 or 4 classes in a gi. I have a gi, but I've only done 3 or 4 classes in a gi. I've never really done any gi amount of training. All the training I've done is MMA based grappling, or it was catch wrestling with Ian Bromley, which is where I know Brendan from. Me and Brendan used to train at catch together, and catch wrestling's is very, very it's a submission grappling art, so it's very, very similar to jiu-jitsu, but it's a lot more focusing on like neck cranks and shit. So I've never fucked with a gi. Oh, 1 sec. Right, I better wrap this up because I've got a call I've got to take again. Anyway, cheers for tuning in. Go and check out the IRL channel. Loads of content coming. See you in a bit. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.